Death Forest is a movie about white people in Japan being incredibly inappropriate towards Japanese women by chasing them around a forest and eating their internal organs. Death Forest 2 is about white people in Japan, but again, following the events of the previous movie and keeping in touch with the original's absolutely abhorrent subtitles, the movie immediately begins with someone talking about an adult lesbian, because I was unable to source a reliable subtitle track for this movie, and this is what is hard-baked onto the disc. So with that being said, and with me not being able to make any actual sense of the dialogue, this is definitely going to be the most reliable and in-depth video on this movie you'll ever see, because I'm definitely not just gonna make a bunch of it up for my own amusement, because that would be really silly. And I would never do anything like that. Speaking of silly, being chased around by terrifying floating Japanese heads and creepy white dudes asking for a hug can be an incredibly stressful and anxiety-inducing experience. So thanks to this video's sponsor Dream, you can get a relaxing and healthy hot cocoa powder made from natural ingredients, so you'll be able to have a nice relaxing sleep after a terrifying day of being chased by extreme abominations. Dream powder is formulated to help get you your best night's sleep and comes in a variety of different ingredients and flavors. And while being a parent and doing a job with no real clock in and clock out time, Dream provides a way for me to wind down and have a nice relaxing sleep when my brain would otherwise struggle to. My go-to flavor is the cinnamon cocoa powder, as it helps me fall asleep, stay asleep, and wake up in the morning without that groggy feeling, unlike how other sleep aid products tend to do. And with better sleep comes a better day, as I often find myself being more productive with more energy. And in a clinical study, it was reported that 93% of participants reported that Dream helped them get a better night's sleep, so if you're interested in trying out some of the many flavors, right now is the best time to get on board, as it's the only time you can get up to 50% off to take advantage of Beam's biggest sale in a limited time offer. So if you're tired of the terrifying giant Japanese floating heads, scan the QR code on screen or click the link at the top of the description to get started. The movie begins with Kazuki, fresh off his Suzuki, having flashbacks to the events of the previous movie, with him being so distraught about the entire thing. He lights a cigarette because he wants to die, but really slowly. With the strange thing about it, well, apart from the giant floating Japanese head, is that the giant floating Japanese head appears to be absent from his photos, despite them very much appearing in them back in the previous movie. We then see that a high school drama club is practicing in an old unused school building situated somewhere near the forest. We're introduced to the first student, Shirokawa, as she's woken up from a nap by her drama teacher, as she wasn't really being lazy, because REM sleep has been proven to help with problem solving. After Shirokawa has her studies so rudely interrupted, we're introduced to the second drama student, Kazuki, and I know that Kazuki is her name because the incredibly reliable fan wiki page for the movie told me so. The incredibly reliable fan wiki page for the movie that also states that this is the best Death Forest movie in the series, as it has cute characters, leading me to believe that the writer behind this wiki is also the writer behind these subtitles. After Kazuki completely blanks Shirokawa as she kicks a ball to her, because that's a sign of aggression in her culture, we're then introduced to the three other drama students, as they fail to understand the basic concept of a stereo. Three other students that I'm simply going to refer to as students from now on, because Duolingo still isn't sponsoring me, and whoever was supposed to be writing these subtitles was far too busy ingesting illicit substances. After being caught smoking cigarettes by her teacher, Kazuki turns to see the creepy old, incredibly social woman who owned the restaurant in the previous movie engaging in one of her favorite pastimes: staring at underage children. After ruining an ancient secret amongst men and talking about most men flirting with each other, the rest of the class is introduced to Kazuki. The teacher then proceeds to tell Kazuki, "Minecraft tell yourself," before casually turning around and walking away, as if anyone was supposed to understand that. The students seem weary of Kazuki and her strange Minecraft playing ways, apart from Shirokawa, who met her previously in the gymnasium, because all of her best friends ignore her. After practicing drama or something on the roof, the girls proceed to engage in some drama of their own, as it becomes incredibly obvious that most of them don't want Kazuki here, as they all prefer Terraria. And with Kazuki not wanting to be here either, she walks away from the other students as they begin to talk about a prior incident behind her back, as we see in the form of a flashback, Kazuki holding a knife and gripping it close because she really likes the way it feels. We then see that the creepy old woman is back, being her usual weird self again, before proceeding to have a heart attack or something in front of the school, and forcefully changing the trajectory of these young girls' lives by forcing them to come outside and to unsuspectingly stumble across the dead body of an old woman. works every time. Kazuki, not to be confused with Kizuki, I know, what a silly mistake, now notices that the pictures he took at the end of the previous movie are once again showing the mysterious floating head creature, before looking at another picture he must have taken at the school to see that the creature is now in frame, meaning that whenever it isn't active, it somehow manages to obscure itself from the pictures before reappearing again as it comes out for a late night snack. The giant floating head, that I've since learned is named Yoshi. Yeah, I see it. And once again, according to the fan-made Death Forest wiki, Yoshi used to be a 20-year-old human woman attending her second year in medical school before going missing back in 2007 while exploring a forest with her friends, where she was supposedly beaten to death with a pipe because she must have had a bug on her face or something. We then see the woman smiling at a tree, as you do, before we get more context to Kazuki's flashback with yet another flashback that appears to show her fighting the knife off someone. And by more context, I mean not really more context, because there isn't any. After reminiscing about the good old days, she looks up in the bathroom mirror to see the rather strange sight of Yoshi floating right behind her, before turning around to see that nothing is there, while she clutches onto her knife, because you never know when you might need one in the incredibly safe country that is Japan. While out looking for Kazuki, as all of the drama she seems to be engaging in today is her own, the teacher walks into the bathroom that she was just in, when suddenly the door slams shut behind her because it's rude to go potty with it open. After a while, the students start to realize that their teacher is gone and it's starting to get dark outside, and after the power goes out, two of the students go to look for their teacher taking a really long poo, but suddenly they get scared after seeing a shadow and quickly hide behind a door because social interactions are terrifying. After hiding and listening to the footsteps get fainter as they get further away, they make a run for it but come to a stop as they see Kazuki at the end of a corridor with a knife as a person lays on the floor beneath her. They must be really tired or something. They sprint back to tell the others what they've just seen, which according to the subtitles is a female knife in February. There's nothing worse. Without being able to see the face, they think that the body must belong to their missing drama teacher, and when they go to call the police to report their teacher sleeping on the job, they find that they haven't got any signal, and deciding that they're better off sticking together, they all head out to go and see it for themselves, before looking through one of the classroom doors to be jump scared by a particularly excited Japanese man. And after running away, they find Kazuki standing in front of them holding a knife, before they all hide together as they hear the heavy breathing of an asthmatic outside, as Shirokawa comforts Kazuki, despite it very much looking like she just killed her drama teacher. No homework, I guess. An argument then ensues between the girls, with one of them opting to leave the classroom and wanting to get away from it all, when suddenly Yoshi, the giant floating head, appears and begins slowly approaching from behind, before turning this Japanese schoolgirl into two Japanese schoolgirls. Yoshi then starts to slowly make her way over to Shirokawa, as apparently she has absolutely no urgency whatsoever with the eating of these children, when suddenly Kazuki, somehow knowing that the creature doesn't like light, points one of them directly into Yoshi's face, giving her the opportunity to save Shirokawa, and after making a run for it, the students think that they're in luck as they see the woman standing outside of the school, but apparently she's not really much of a kid person and completely ignores them. After trying to find another way out, they spot one of the creatures feasting on the body of their teacher, where they all collectively realize that they don't like light, as it quickly retreats somewhere. Kazuki heads over to the body to retrieve the keys to the school, but suddenly the group is separated by someone looking far too happy to come across a bunch of Japanese schoolgirls in the dark. One of them runs away from the creature and opens a classroom door to unfortunately be greeted by something far more terrifying than an education. A woman. Yoshi consumes the student for sustenance, while Kazuki stops the white creature in place by shining the torch at it. After getting away, one of the students then proceeds to talk about her marriage button, before Shirokawa talks about the guy she did in the forest last year, before deciding to run away, as apparently she doesn't care too much. Kazuki is then attacked by one of the creatures as the white men are attacking, and it tries to give her a nice big sloppy kiss, before she's able to stop it using her trusty knife. And after using the knife, we then see the full extent of the flashback, as she's subjected to a boy telling her that her father is throwing a spoon, to which she quite understandably responds to by engaging in knife crime like the average UK teenager. She then sees Yoshi approaching her, but she's frozen in fear at the memory of teenage boys, and Yoshi begins opening her mouth up and is about to consume her, when suddenly Shirokawa returns the favor by using a bright light to force it back into the darkness. More of the white creatures begin to approach, and Kazuki offers to hold them back, while Shirokawa makes a run for it to try and find a way out of the building. Instead of finding a way out, she finds one of the other drama students who really looks like they could use a hand. and an arm, before dropping to the floor and stabbing Shirokawa in the foot as one of the creatures approach, because what are friends for, if not fodder for creepy looking white dudes. But before he's able to get any of them, Kazuki and her trusty knife suddenly reappear, and she pulls Shirokawa away from the situation, while leaving Little Miss One Arm to fend for herself. They then flee the school, but begin to waste time by arguing about something I don't understand. Not because they're women, but because they're Japanese. After conveniently giving the horrific creatures the extra time that they need to catch up, they then turn around to see Yoshi approaching them at a pace that can only be described as mildly threatening. But unleashing their inner girl boss, they persevere onwards against the slowly moving floating Japanese head, now with improved hair physics. Slightly. Kazuki and not Kizuki then shows up with his camera and uses the power of light to stop this demented creature and its dastardly plan in place because it forgot to bring its sunglasses. It then cuts to the armless Japanese girl surrounded by a bunch of naked white dudes in a video that I swear I've seen somewhere before Yoshi being defeated by her arch nemesis, some dude with a camera, emerges from the darkness to gobble her up. Once morning arrives, we see that the girls and Kazuki got away safely, while we see him talking on the phone to someone as the creepy old lady, who was apparently only 20 in 2007, walks past behind him. He then proceeds to look down at his photographs to see that Yoshi is no longer appearing in any of them, as the entire events of this movie were a mere figment of his imagination, as he's actually an undiagnosed schizophrenic. He then looks down to see a final photograph of the woman who just walked by, with the movie then coming to its end, with me wondering how that ever got into his possession if it was back at the restaurant in the original movie. So before this video comes to an end, I'd like to give a massive shout out and a big thank you to all of the YouTube members and patrons, the people who every month continue to support the channel, despite YouTube making it incredibly obvious that they're not exactly fond of the type of content I make. If you yourself are interested in becoming a YouTube member or a patron, not only are you just generally being a great support to the channel, but you get access to a few little perks like the private Discord server, where you then get links to uncensored versions of all videos going forward. So starting off with this week's new YouTube member signups, a massive thank you to Doomslayer66, Amilana, Econut C, Josephine F, Gen 1 Grey, Rojinoni, Otago Chan, Travis Pribliski, Drakenblut04, Loki Doki Doki, Zani Murno, Keegan Neely, Dave, Cartnor, Dennis, Daniel Combs, Cake, Daniel B, Nathaniel Murphy, Jefferson Norup, Meow QC, Emil Nielsen, Danny Woods, Gualberto Carrion, A7Hori7Y, Batgirl727, Caleb Herbert, Macho, Jenna, Brian Dubber, Jenny Franco, Fabrico Rua Sanchez, and Fundy25. Now heading over to this week's new Patreon signups, a massive thank you to Simeon Gonad, Kenny, Daniel Nunali, Doomsday Adams, Whitner MC, Connor Hornsby, Michael M, Gooseneck, Ruckus, Josh Wilford, Ollie James, Caesar Vicario, Cartoon Logic, Wildnar, Jacob Chadwick, Jerry Lee, Andrew Davenport, Reaganomics Lamborghini, Tommy Boy, Ben Fellas, Jared Gibbs, Kyle Evans from Walsall, Rainbow Bullet, Astral Helix, Lemon Tarts, Michael Navarro, Triple Flim Flam 101, Uriah Carter, Road Weary, Renzo Menzo, Wojciech, Jennifer Doon, Rule Govella, Kelly NG Bonofalco, and Anti Moistlo. And once again, a massive shout out to all of the YouTube members and patrons, and a big thank you to everyone else for watching.